apparently what Todd did was unforgivable, okay? And Todd apparently had a emotional relationship with another woman. Now, she allowed him to have sexual relationships with other women, but he couldn't fall for anybody.
Listen to this, y'all. This situation just detonated out of nowhere, because what started as a low-key celebrity split has now spiraled into an emotional disaster nobody was prepared for. Hold up, because according to explosive allegations from Tasha K, this wasn't some simple case of we grew apart. She's saying this was betrayal on a level so deep it completely shattered everything Kandi believed was solid. And girl, the claim isn't just that Todd stepped outside the marriage. Allegedly, he caught real feelings, and that was the one boundary he was never ever supposed to cross. Insiders are saying Kandi gave him space. She brushed off the gossip. She let the rumors slide. But emotional involvement, that was strictly forbidden. And the moment she realized that line had been crossed, sources claim her world didn't just fracture, it came crashing down. They're saying she asked for one thing, just one apology, 1 ounce of accountability, and he wouldn't give it. No remorse, no explanation, just cold silence, while another woman allegedly held his heart. Now the aftermath is messier than anyone predicted. We're hearing talk of guest house chaos, prenup battles brewing, whispers that millions are at stake, and a once picture-perfect TV romance suddenly looking like pure fiction. So here's the chilling question everyone's asking tonight. Did Todd truly fall in love with someone else? Or is this split really about money, control, and long-buried secrets finally surfacing? Because let's be clear, Tasha K didn't just spill tea, she set the whole thing on fire. And trust me, this divorce saga looks like it's about to get even darker.
Apparently, he does not want to apologize. All she wanted for him to do was say sorry, but he refused to say sorry for apparently...
Listen to this. What started as quiet chatter behind those mansion walls is now building into a storm nobody in their circle can control. And hold up, because insiders are saying this divorce didn't kick off with loud arguments or plates flying. It started with silence, that icy, uncomfortable silence that slowly seeped into the marriage while the cameras were down and those polished smiles were still being marketed to the world. People close to the situation claimed Kandi had been feeling that something was off long before divorce papers were ever part of the conversation. The getaways stretched out longer, the phone calls got clipped shorter, and the vibe between them turned colder than anyone on the outside could have guessed. Publicly, though, it was business as usual. 5-star vacations, major brand partnerships, glowing couple selfies. But behind those private doors, the atmosphere had shifted in a way you can't fake forever. Then came the first real jolt. Sources insist Kandi wasn't fast-tracking this divorce for headlines or sympathy. She was moving quickly because she believed a line had already been crossed, and not the kind you fix with counseling sessions, apologies, or just letting time smooth it over.
Is, in my opinion, getting a little reckless with this divorce. She wants it done, and
that one boundary flipped the entire script. Because when somebody tries to wipe out a 10-year marriage overnight, you already know the truth underneath has to be heavier than what's being shown. Reports say Kandi wasn't interested in back-and-forth negotiations. She didn't want marathon conversations. She wanted out, fast. And listen to this. Sources claim she was scared of what might surface if the process dragged on. Because in the world of celebrity splits, secrets have a way of clawing their way into the light. That's exactly where this emotional betrayal narrative starts locking into place. People close to the situation are saying Todd's alleged emotional bond with another woman didn't just wound Kandi, it embarrassed her on a deep level. Not because blogs were talking, but because trust was shattered. Insiders insist she had drawn clear lines years ago, boundaries that were not up for negotiation. Space and freedom? Fine. Falling emotionally for someone else? Absolutely not. But the moment whispers started lining up with confirmations, the atmosphere shifted completely. And here's the part that really gets me. Those watching it unfold say Kandi didn't yell. She didn't start breaking things.
She's upset that he fell for another piece of candy and it ruined her whole image, and now she
That detail right there is why this split hits different, because according to insiders, this wasn't only about love fading, it was about humiliation. It was about trust cracking in full public view. It was about waking up to the possibility that the empire she showcased to the world might have been standing on shaky ground behind closed doors. Sources say Kandi feared the headlines more than the heartbreak, because once emotional betrayal goes public, every past rumor resurfaces, every whisper turns into a megaphone, every business move gets put under a microscope, and that pressure might explain why she pushed to wrap this up quickly. But hold up, there's another angle people aren't dissecting enough. Some insiders say Todd never saw the ending coming like this. They claim he thought the marriage was repairable. They say he didn't believe emotional speculation would torch everything they'd built. Now, behind the scenes, attorneys are gearing up for a showdown that could turn uglier than anyone expected, because when romance turns into legal warfare, buried truths don't stay buried. Friends close to both sides say there's fear in the air. Fear over what text threads might reveal. Fear about what witnesses could confirm. Fear that longtime friends might spill once they're called to speak. And as this drags on, one question keeps echoing louder. Was this marriage ever authentic, or was it a strategic alliance that finally cracked under its own weight? Fans are combing through old episodes, archived interviews, and vintage social posts, hunting for red flags they overlooked, searching for proof that the fairy tale had cracks all along. Because here's the uncomfortable truth about celebrity unions. Sometimes the smiles are rehearsed. Sometimes love comes with conditions. Sometimes the finale was drafted long before viewers caught on. And if the insiders aren't exaggerating, this divorce story is far from finished. Because beneath the emotional betrayal, beneath the rushed paperwork, beneath the crumbling image, there could be revelations still waiting to detonate. The second the divorce whispers hit the blogs, insiders say the narrative shifted from emotion to control. Because under the heartbreak, under the silence and fractured trust, there was another reality nobody wanted spotlighted. Where exactly was Todd staying while everything unraveled? Sources close to the situation say the answer stunned people in their circle. Because while the marriage was imploding, while lawyers were being discreetly looped in, Todd was allegedly still inside Kandi's orbit, not across the country, not miles away, but close enough to feel the tension daily. And that's when the guest house storyline blew wide open.
Has been living in her guest house rent-free.
That single detail flipped the whole storyline, because all of a sudden, fans weren't just debating betrayal, they were dissecting money, power, and leverage. Insiders say where someone lives during a split tells you more than any press release ever could. Who holds the power? Who stays comfortable? Who doesn't have another move? And people began asking, was Todd biding his time while quietly gearing up for a courtroom showdown? Friends say disputes started bubbling over finances, support, and obligations. Who covered which bills? Who earned what? Who actually built the empire? And depending on who you talk to, the narrative shifts. Some sources insist Kandi feels she carried the brand on her back. Others claim Todd believes he played a major role in building the lifestyle they both benefited from. That's when the anxiety reportedly intensified, because celebrity divorces don't just dissolve unions, they uncover everything. Agreements get dissected, financial statements get audited, past conversations get replayed, and insiders say both camps started shielding themselves long before the public caught a hint of trouble. Sources claim Kandi's urgency wasn't just about emotional pain, it was about avoiding a drawn-out legal battlefield. Because extended battles bring witnesses, witnesses bring testimony, testimony brings headlines, and headlines can wreck reputations faster than gossip ever could. But hold up, the most unsettling twist was still ahead. While everyone was focused on the guest house chatter, another rumor started circulating quietly behind the scenes. The prenup might not be ironclad. At first, people brushed it off. A prenup is supposed to lock everything down. Smooth exit, defined terms, minimal chaos. Yet insiders allege attorneys began scrutinizing how it was executed and whether there's room to contest it.
He signed it under duress. His lawyer wasn't present when that...
That shift is when anxiety reportedly turned into full-blown panic, because if a prenup falls apart, suddenly everything is up for grabs. Houses, companies, future earnings, retirement accounts, even long-term support. And insiders say both camps instantly braced for a worst-case outcome. Friends close to it all claim Kandi wasn't just afraid of financial loss, she was afraid of losing control of the narrative, because once a prenup war kicks off, private history becomes public record. Text threads, emails, old disputes, and comments from years back can end up stamped inside court filings. Sources say that's why the atmosphere around them feels icier by the day. Legal meetings are stretching longer, family conversations are getting shorter, and whatever trust remained has evaporated. Some insiders allege Todd feels entitled to compensation after years in the marriage. They say he contributed behind closed doors. They say he passed on certain opportunities, and they insist he has no intention of leaving with nothing. Others argue Kandi believes she built the empire herself and refuses to bankroll what she sees as betrayal. And somewhere in between those two narratives, the real story is sitting quietly. Fans have started revisiting old episodes, catching tiny moments they once brushed off. The awkward silences, the forced laughter, the glances that seemed minor then, but now feel loaded. Insiders claim Kandi's biggest fear is her image unraveling publicly, because when emotional betrayal collides with a financial showdown, headlines turn vicious, sponsors start reevaluating, networks grow cautious, friends pick sides, and a personal split transforms into a spectacle. Sources say both parties are quietly stockpiling proof. Bank statements are under review. Past contracts are being examined word for word. Every vow, every clause, every financial move during the marriage now carries weight. And the longer this stretches, the more ominous it appears, because insiders suggest Todd may be prepared to push harder than expected. They claim he believes the prenup isn't untouchable. They claim he feels years of marriage entitle him to more, and they say he's willing to argue that in front of a judge. If that plays out, this won't be swift. It'll be a drawn-out, emotionally draining fight where revelations surface piece by piece. Friends say both sides are already worn down, yet neither is willing to concede, because conceding feels like losing, and in a marriage lived in the spotlight, loss can linger forever. So now the same question keeps circling. Was the guest house situation just a footnote, or evidence the relationship had quietly ended long ago? Was the prenup oversight genuine, or the first fracture in a financial kingdom built on trust? Because insiders warn the next phase of this divorce could expose uncomfortable truths about loyalty, authority, and the real cost of fame. And here's the unsettling part. The momentum isn't slowing. It's intensifying. By the time prenup whispers hit the surface, sources say the situation had already passed the point of repair. Because once assets, contracts, and future wealth dominate the conversation, love stops being the focus, power does. And insiders now say both sides are bracing for a legal battle that could stretch on for years.
Kandi thinking that she's finna skate away for this. Kandi is gonna be paying, because Child's gonna be taking care of insurance. He gonna get spouse support. He gonna get child support. He gonna get a housing allowance.
That revelation sent shockwaves through their entire inner circle. Because if that scenario becomes real, this won't just be emotional, it'll be historic. Insiders say the idea of Todd walking away with substantial financial backing has Kandi's camp on edge, because that would mean years of hustle, branding, and carefully built public image being sliced up inside a courtroom. And once a judge steps in, privacy disappears. Sources claim attorneys are already debating what qualifies as marital assets, which ventures expanded during the marriage, which accounts were joint, and which verbal agreements could matter. Suddenly, every tiny choice counts. Friends say communication between both sides has turned frosty, brief, and calculated, because trust is gone, and ironically, trust was the very foundation they sold to the public. Fans are diving back into old episodes, spotting moments they once overlooked, the tight smiles, the rehearsed humor, the uncomfortable silences, scenes that now feel like red flags hiding in plain sight. Because insiders insist this marriage didn't implode overnight, it fractured slowly, quietly, painfully, until one emotional betrayal finished what the cracks had started. But there's another fear hovering in the background: reputation. Sources allege Kandi worries the identity she spent years crafting, strong woman, united family, thriving mogul, could crumble under ruthless headlines. Because once divorce details spill out, speculation runs wild, past accusations resurface, critics get louder, and sponsors start making cautious phone calls. Friends say networks are monitoring the situation carefully. Business partners are uneasy. Everyone keeps asking the same thing: how messy is this about to get? Because high-profile divorces rarely stay sealed. They evolve into docuseries, legal dramas, media circuses, and insiders suggest that Todd may be more prepared for battle than people assume. They claim he believes the prenup isn't bulletproof. They claim he feels entitled to financial backing, and they say he's not intimidated by a prolonged legal clash. If that's accurate, this saga is nowhere near finished. It's just heating up. Because beneath the guest house controversy, beneath the emotional fallout, beneath the prenup rumors, there could be additional secrets waiting to detonate. Messages still unseen, agreements the public hasn't heard about, moments no one thought would surface. Friends say both sides are already drained, yet neither is ready to surrender. Because losing in private hurts, but losing in front of the world leaves a permanent mark. And now the question echoing everywhere feels darker than ever. Did Todd truly develop feelings for someone else? Or is this unraveling really about leverage, finances, and resentment buried for years? Was the prenup flaw genuine, or the first fracture in a financial empire built on mutual trust? Because insiders caution that if this lands fully in court, the truth could be harsher than anyone expects. And once that truth is public, there won't be a flawless image left to shield. Now the silence surrounding this divorce feels louder than any statement, because sources say what we've witnessed so far is just the outer layer of a storm intensifying behind closed doors. Lawyers are strategizing discreetly, allies are picking sides, and old secrets are resurfacing piece by piece. This isn't just about love dissolving anymore. It's about reputations under threat, wealth under examination, and a decade of intimate history turning into potential evidence. Sources say both camps fear the next leak: text chains, bank documents, and private discussions that were never meant for public ears. And if even a fraction of these claims hold up, the picture-perfect marriage narrative could shatter beyond repair. Because when celebrity splits escalate to this level, nobody exits untouched. Someone loses finances, someone loses credibility, someone loses it all. So the question blazing across the internet tonight is raw and direct. Was this truly about a forbidden emotional connection, or about power plays and quiet financial strategies? Did Todd cross an unforgivable boundary, or is there an even deeper layer the public hasn't seen yet? One thing is undeniable: the chaos is expanding, the truth is inching closer, and the consequences won't be gentle. If you think you know who's telling the real version, drop your take in the comments right now. Make sure you're subscribed, stay tuned, and don't look away, because the next revelation could change everything.